There's a reason so many people feel nervous at the mechanic. It's not just the cost, it's the feeling that you don't know what they know, and that knowledge gap can cost you hundreds or even thousands. The truth is, a lot of shops won't lie to you outright, but they'll definitely leave things out. But that's what this video is for. We're digging into real-world maintenance tips that most mechanics will never bring up. Because if you knew them, you might not need them so often. Whether you're a DIY kind of person or just want to make sure your mechanic doesn't take you for a ride, these tips will help you drive smarter, spend less, and keep your car running better for longer. Let's get into it. Before another driver drops $900 on a fix they could have avoided for free. Number 1. The cabin air filter. The $15 upsell scam that's easy to DIY. Walk into any quick service shop and wait for it. The moment they walk back with a dusty little rectangle and say, "This is your cabin air filter. It's filthy. Want us to replace it for $70? What they won't tell you is that you can buy that exact filter for $10 to $20 online and swap it out yourself in under 5 minutes. No tools required. In most cars, the cabin air filter is right behind the glove box, and changing it is literally a matter of popping a plastic cover off, pulling the old filter out, and sliding the new one in. No mess, no wrenches, and no experience necessary. Some shops charge a premium for the labor involved, even though it's easier than changing a battery and a TV remote. And if you've never had it changed, they might guilt you into thinking it's harming your engine. But it's not. The cabin filter is for your breathing air, not your engine's health. Still, it's worth keeping clean, especially if you suffer from allergies or drive in dusty areas. A clogged filter reduces airflow, makes your AC work harder, and lets musty smells build up. But again, it's a 5-minute fix you can do yourself for a quarter of the price. Next time they try the filter guilt trip, just smile and say, "I'll handle that myself," because now you know better. Number 2, brake pads don't always need to be replaced. Your brake pads are low. You should replace them now. Sounds urgent, right? But here's the truth. Most shops give you a general estimate, not an actual measurement. And they'll often suggest replacement long before it's truly necessary. Brake pads are considered worn out around 3 millimeters or less of pad material. But lots of mechanics will recommend changing them at 5 millimeters just to make a sale. That's like throwing out your shoes when there's still plenty of sole left. If you're not hearing squealing, grinding, or seeing any performance drop, you may still have thousands of miles left. And here's what they really don't want you to know. You can measure them yourself with a flashlight and a little patience. You can peek through the wheel spokes or caliper opening and get a good idea of how thick your pads still are. Or even better, buy a brake pad thickness gauge for under $10 and get an exact measurement. There's also a huge difference in wear depending on how and where you drive. Someone doing highway miles every day will wear pads much slower than someone stuck in city traffic. So if your driving habits are light on the brakes, don't let them talk you into a job you don't need. Brakes are crucial, yes, but so is not throwing money away on parts that still have life in them. Unless your pads are truly close to the limit, there's no harm in holding off or checking them again in a few months. Number 3, you can reset maintenance lights without a scanner. One of the easiest ways shops keep you coming back is with that little maintenance required or check engine light. It comes on, your stomach drops, and suddenly you're thinking about diagnostic fees and repair costs. But here's the trick. Not all those lights mean something's broken. That maintenance required light in particular, it's usually just a mileage timer, not an actual sensor reading. It's programmed to come on every 5,000 miles or whatever your service interval is, just to remind you to get an oil change. And yes, you can reset it yourself, no scanner required. In most cars, it's as easy as holding down a button on the dash or turning the key to the on position while pressing a combination of pedals. The exact process varies by make and model, but a quick search in your owner's manual or online will give you the steps in seconds. Shops don't want you to know this because resetting the light yourself makes you less dependent on them. They want you to think only they can make it go away, when in reality, you've got all the tools you need already. Now, this doesn't mean ignore your warning lights, but it does mean you don't need to panic every time something pops up on the dash. Learn which lights are serious and which are just reminders, and take control of your dashboard instead of letting it control you. Number 4, transmission fluid can be checked, even if they say it's sealed. You've probably heard this line before. This transmission is sealed, there's no dipstick, it doesn't need servicing. That's what a lot of manufacturers and dealerships will say. But here's the real story. Sealed doesn't mean maintenance-free. It just means harder to access, and mechanics love that, because it often means you won't try it yourself. In reality, most sealed transmissions still have a drain plug and a way to check the level, but it's tucked away or requires a little more effort. Some use a fill plug and an overflow tube. Others require the car to be level and at a specific temperature. That's a bit more involved than checking your engine oil, sure, but it's absolutely doable with the right tools and info. And here's why it matters. Transmission fluid breaks down over time, especially in stop-and-go traffic or if you tow anything. Ignoring it because it's sealed can lead to slipping, rough shifts, overheating, and early failure. By the time symptoms show up, it's often too late. Some manufacturers started using lifetime transmission fluid as a way to sell cars as low maintenance. But ask any transmission specialist, and they'll tell you no fluid lasts forever. Changing it at regular intervals, usually every 60 to 100,000 miles, can add years of life to your transmission. So don't let that sealed label fool you. If you plan on keeping your car for the long haul, look up how to access and check your fluid. It might just save your transmission from an early death. Number 5, you don't always need a wheel alignment after new tires. One of the classic upsells at the tire shop is, you just bought new tires, you need an alignment. Now sometimes they're right, but a lot of the time, they're just padding the bill. Here's the truth. If your old tires wore evenly, your steering feels fine, and there's no pull or vibration, you probably don't need an alignment right away. Alignment is crucial when things are out of spec, but if everything's tracking straight and the wear is even, it's not always necessary. Mechanics often recommend alignments as a just-in-case measure, but alignments cost anywhere from $75 to $150 depending on where you go. Doing it without symptoms is like getting a root canal just because your dentist says, better safe than sorry. Now, if your car hit a pothole recently, or you've noticed uneven tire wear, or your steering wheel isn't centered, yes, you should absolutely get an alignment. But new tires by themselves don't automatically throw your suspension out of whack. Want to be sure? Ask the shop to show you the alignment printout before you approve the service. That report will show if any of your suspension angles, camber, caster, toe are out of spec. If they're not, thank them and decline the upsell. It's your money and your ride, and if everything's already straight, there's no reason to let them bend your wallet out of shape. Number 6, use dielectric grease on battery terminals to prevent corrosion. Most drivers don't think twice about their battery until the car won't start. But here's something even your mechanic probably won't mention. You can stop corrosion before it even starts with a $3 tube of dielectric grease. Over time, battery terminals build up that familiar white crust, or oxidation, which creates resistance, affects charging, and can even prevent the car from starting. It doesn't matter how strong your battery is if the connection is bad. That's why smart drivers use dielectric grease as a barrier between metal and air, stopping corrosion in its tracks. Here's how it works. After cleaning your terminals with a wire brush or terminal cleaner, apply a thin layer of dielectric grease to both the battery posts and the inside of the cable clamps. Not on the outside where it looks pretty, right where the contact is made. It won't interfere with the electrical connection because grease is non-conductive, but it will protect it from moisture, salt, acid, and everything else that causes delay. This trick is especially valuable if you live in a humid or coastal climate or anywhere they salt the roads. Mechanics will clean off corrosion when it's already bad, but rarely do they apply something to stop it from coming back. This is the kind of small, simple step that can save you from needing a jump in the middle of nowhere, or from prematurely replacing a battery that was still perfectly fine. Dielectric grease might not be flashy, but it's a secret weapon for any driver who wants their battery to last. Number 7. Use a syringe or a turkey baster to refresh brake fluid at the top. Brake fluid is one of those overlooked fluids that can quietly destroy your braking system from the inside out if it's not maintained. Most people know about flushing the whole system, but here's a clever trick your mechanic won't share. You can refresh your brake fluid gradually using a simple syringe or turkey baster. Over time, brake fluid absorbs moisture from the air, which lowers its boiling point and causes corrosion inside the brake lines, calipers, and master cylinder. A full brake fluid flush is great, but it's also time-consuming and expensive. So most people just never do it. But what you can do at home in 5 minutes is suck out the old fluid from the reservoir, then top it off with fresh, high-quality brake fluid. You're not bleeding the brakes, you're just refreshing the top layer, which is often the most contaminated due to exposure to air. If you repeat this every few months, maybe once or twice a year, you'll gradually replace more and more of the old fluid without needing a full flush. It's not a perfect solution, but it's a smart, low-cost way to keep your system cleaner and extend the life of your braking components. Mechanics won't mention this because they want to sell you a flush every 30,000 miles. But if you stay on top of it with this trick, your fluid will stay in much better shape and your brakes will thank you. Number 8. Use anti-seize compound on spark plug threads. Replacing spark plugs is one of the most common DIY jobs, but there's a small step that gets skipped all the time, even by the professionals: using anti-seize compound on the threads. It's not flashy, but it can save you big headaches down the road, especially if you plan to keep your car long-term. Spark plugs are exposed to extreme heat, pressure, and corrosion inside the engine. Over time, the threads can seize into the cylinder head, especially in aluminum heads found in most modern engines. When it's time to replace them, you might snap the plug or damage the threads trying to get it out. That turns a $30 tune-up into a $500 repair, if you're lucky. By applying a small amount of nickel-based anti-seize compound to the threads before installing the plugs, you prevent this kind of bonding. It ensures that the next time you remove them, they'll come out smooth and clean. You don't need much, just a light coating, and make sure to avoid getting any on the electrode tip. Some spark plug manufacturers say their plugs come pre-lubed or don't require anti-seize. But in practice, many experienced techs still apply it anyway, especially if the engine runs hot or the plugs are hard to reach. It's cheap insurance for a future you that doesn't want to fight rusted, stuck threads. This simple trick won't improve horsepower or fuel economy, but it will keep your DIY life a lot easier and cheaper when the next tune-up comes around. Number 9. Clean the mass airflow sensor for instant performance gains. If your car feels sluggish, has poor throttle response, or your fuel economy has started to dip, don't go replacing random parts just yet. One of the simplest DIY fixes that can make a huge difference is cleaning your mass airflow or MAF sensor. And most people don't even know it's an option. The MAF sensor lives between your air filter and the throttle body. Its job is to measure how much air is entering the engine so the ECU can calculate the correct fuel-to-air ratio. Over time, tiny particles of dust and oil from the air intake can build up on the sensor's delicate wires, throwing off those readings. And when that happens, your engine starts running rich or lean, depending on how badly the sensor is fouled. The good news? Well, you don't have to replace it. All you need is a can of MAF sensor cleaner, which costs about $10, and a screwdriver to remove the sensor. Spray it gently, let it dry for 15 minutes, reinstall it, and you're done. No scrubbing, no touching, no rubbing, just spray and go. Drivers often notice immediate improvements: smoother acceleration, better fuel economy, and more consistent idle. It's not magic, it's just cleaning a sensor that's been working in a dirty environment for years. Mechanics rarely offer to do this because it's a 5-minute job and doesn't rack up labor hours. But if your car has over 30,000 miles on it, cleaning your MAF sensor might be the cheapest performance upgrade you ever do. Number 10. Lube your door seals to prevent cracking and wind noise. One of the most overlooked pieces of car maintenance isn't under the hood, it's wrapped around your doors. Those rubber weather seals do more than just keep the rain out. They also prevent wind noise, rattling, water leaks, and even help insulate your cabin from extreme temperatures. But here's the thing. Over time, they dry out and crack. Mechanics almost never mention this because it doesn't involve a service they can easily charge for. But smart drivers know to keep those rubber seals soft and supple with a simple $5 trick: a silicone-based lubricant or rubber conditioner. You can buy purpose-made rubber seal treatments at any auto parts store, or even use 100% pure silicone spray. Just apply a thin layer to the seals every few months using a microfiber cloth or sponge. It takes 5 minutes. The result? No more creaky doors in winter, no more stuck windows, and no more slamming the door twice to get a tight seal. In colder climates, lubing your door seals also prevents them from freezing shut, which is a common cause of tears or cracks. In hotter climates, it keeps the rubber from hardening and shrinking. Either way, it extends the life of your seals dramatically, and replacement isn't cheap. A full set of door seals can cost hundreds of dollars, and even then, it might not fit as well as the originals. So treat your seals like part of the car's health, not just some cosmetic trim. A little love now saves a lot of noise, leaks, and frustration later. Number 11, use toothpaste to restore foggy headlights. Foggy headlights don't just make your car look older, they cut your nighttime visibility dramatically. Replacing them can cost hundreds, and even a professional restoration service runs $50 to $100. But what most people don't know is that you can fix them at home with something sitting in your bathroom: toothpaste. Yep, the same stuff you use to polish your teeth can polish oxidized plastic too. That cloudy yellow haze on your headlights is a layer of oxidized plastic caused by UV rays, dirt, and road grime slowly degrading the lens. Toothpaste contains mild abrasives, which makes it perfect for buffing away that layer without damaging the plastic underneath. Here's how to do it. Clean the headlight with soap and water, then dry it. Squeeze a bit of plain white toothpaste, not gel, onto a microfiber cloth and rub it into the lens in small circles. After a few minutes of polishing, wipe it off and rinse with water. You'll see the difference immediately. For an even better result, follow up with a coat of UV-resistant sealant or wax to protect the lens from future damage. Because without protection, the fog will come back sooner than later. Mechanics and detailers won't tell you this because they want to sell you replacements or expensive polishing services. But for the cost of a toothbrush and a tube of Colgate, you can make your car look newer and see better at night. And that's a win-win. Mechanics aren't always out to get you, but let's be honest, they're not going to hand you the secrets that make their jobs unnecessary either. These tips? Well, they're the kinds of tricks and techniques that experienced drivers use to save money, protect their cars, and avoid unnecessary repairs, all without lifting the whole engine out of the bay. So here's the big question. Which one of these have you already tried, and what's your favorite personal car hack that others might not know about? Drop it in the comments because your experience could help someone else out. And hey, if you've learned something today, smash that like button, subscribe for more real-world car wisdom, and keep those wheels turning smart.